Today we're going to be visiting one of Toronto's hottest art dealers, Daniel Faria. We're going to find out exactly what goes on behind the scenes of an art gallery and how Madonna plays into his career choice.
I think being born and raised in Cambridge with like a Portuguese immigrant family, the culture that was in our home was mostly sort of music. And as a result of that, I started being in a boys' choir. So every 3 years, there'd be like a big choir trip to England or to Germany or wherever. So when we'd sing at like Westminster Cathedral, St. Paul, I'd want to go into every single church because that was sort of like my outlet for anything kind of artistic. And also in Cambridge, we would go do our homework in the public library, and there was a gallery that was there that at the time was curated by Gordon Hatt, and he was doing amazing programming. So just my friends and I would go in and just check it out, and sort of it created this sort of curiosity. But there was one contemporary art class in third year that kind of blew my mind. It was taught by Jane Byers, who is still a dear friend. Did my master's at York, which is very contemporary focused, was working at the Gap part-time, and started volunteering at the Kitchener-Waterloo Art Gallery. The team there was amazing. Clint Ronish was the curator. He was moving to Toronto to open a commercial gallery for Monty Clark. I was basically at Monty's on opening day serving drinks.
Like millions of kids, Dan was hugely inspired by pop culture.
Yeah, so as corny as it sounds, Madonna had a huge influence because growing up in a small town, I was trying to find these voices that I could relate with. She obviously was very encouraging for self-expression. In many of the interviews, she would start talking about her influences, who, you know, she had dated Basquiat, she'd been good friends with Keith Haring. I'm like, who's Keith Haring? So not knowing who these people were, it sort of propelled me to do some research. So I think she really did open up like another avenue to discovering what contemporary art was.
I think a lot of people don't necessarily know what happens in a gallery behind the scenes, right? And so can you talk a little bit about what is your typical day like?
We already know what I'll be showing in a year's time. So one day I might be doing a studio visit with that artist or speaking with that artist, getting the press release ready, finding out what the works will be here, getting scheduling. It's a lot of logistics, really. And then it's also the fun part where when collectors and friends and curators come in, other artists, to actually walk them through the exhibition, to talk about the work and to actually engage in conversation.
You're always working on all the artists that you show.
I probably speak to all of the artists at least once a week. This show might be up right now, but there might be other things happening for other artists with a museum show, or there might be someone who's all of a sudden interested in a work a year and a half afterwards, so I might be dealing with a sale for someone else. So it's never just what's up on the walls.
I guess there's a lot to discover. So you might find something attractive, and yet the more you find out about it, the more interesting it becomes.
A lot of times it's not like till 2 or 3 weeks after the show's up that I actually have time to digest and to actually spend time with the work, that I'm just like, oh my God, that is even more brilliant than I realized.
Can you talk a little bit about how you maybe might groom collectors or have, you know, show your stable of artists? You have a number of shows over a couple of years, and during that time, collectors can really get to know the artist's work in depth.
I think it's mostly you find like-minded people, and that you just sort of stay in touch with them and keep that conversation going. Like someone like Derek, this is our third show with him in 4 years. I had done a show with him at the previous gallery. So collectors that I've been working with, or are friends with, have sort of seen his evolution over time. Yeah. So that over 3-4 shows, if they buy from each of the shows or from various periods, it's amazing for the artist and for the collector, because that's really what a collection is, to show the breadth of something.
What you might not know about Dan is that he's very keen to find a way for new art aficionados, anyone really, to start collecting. What would you say to someone who said, well, you know, there's no place for me in an art gallery because I don't have a lot of money, you know, I don't fit the profile of a wealthy collector?
Knowing what many of our backgrounds are, I'm the first to offer a long-term payment plan so that, you know, that people can own something that they wanted. And obviously, if you don't have the financial capabilities, you look at younger artists, because those prices are lower. And what's amazing about that too is you find a young artist that you like and you watch that growth. Yeah, I think everyone can be a collector if they want to be. What I love so much about the art world is that if you're genuinely interested in contemporary art, I always say that there's always room for you at the table.
What I love about Dan is that he's so passionate about art, and his passion is infectious. It really makes it easy to imagine learning about art and artists and building a collection yourself.